What is up, fine viewers? Welcome to another Into the Deep.
Howdy ho.
So, we just watched the third episode, the third chapter of Doctor Who Flux called Once Upon Time. What did you think of it, Riley?
I it was really confusing.
Oh, so you weren't the only one.
It was very I understood that there were like bits and points. It's like when you have a dream. So
Yeah.
like where the details of your life aren't always 100% correct. It was like they were living through a dream. I understood the keeping them safe in their memories and timeline so that they didn't have to take the full bore of basically temporal collapse.
Yep.
Jodie kind of blew a gasket on Yaz a little bit and on the Maury, but
Yeah.
what I gathered was she was trying to keep the companions safe in their own time streams, although the way they kind of went about it felt sort of clunky. It was weird.
Yeah. Yeah, it was kind of weird. But it was good nonetheless.
Yeah, no, it was pretty
But
good. There was a lot I couldn't. I was like, I don't know what they're
yeah.
doing right now. Like in the
Yeah.
end, it kind of made more sense. Like they brought back Joe Martin, which was pretty cool.
Yeah, that was neat.
So obviously that has something to do with it. I think it kind of puts aside some people's qualms about who she would have been or what place she holds in the life of the Doctor.
Yeah.
As it stands, it looks like this happened a very long time ago, perhaps even pre-Hartnell.
Yeah, or
Um,
or or between the second Doctor and the third Doctor
hmm,
portion.
um, but it does stand to say that Joe Martin is a past incarnation of the Doctor,
Yes.
so that's something
Yes.
that's been confirmed for people, which is
Hmm.
cool.
Yeah.
But I'm eager to see what role she plays in that henceforth.
Yes. Yeah. No, I as soon as I saw her, I was like, oh my god.
Yeah.
So that was pretty neat. Um, yeah, no, I kind of got confused a little bit. Like, which part did I get confused in? Because I know because it's like some of it is past, like the memories that they're going to. Some of it is the future and hasn't happened yet, and I'm like, okay, what's going on?
Well, that girl that Vinder is supposedly with, it looked like she was on Gallifrey,
Yeah, like the red grass.
which would mean so Vinder was working under someone else. But if this girl was exploring Gallifrey, like that was the first place they showed her exploring, does that mean
Yeah,
that Vinder is a Time Lord?
or even just Gallifreyan.
I don't know what that holds. It's very strange, like the way they were dressed and everything, or the way the girl was dressed anyway.
Yeah, she
I don't
was
know.
dressed kind of strange. Yeah, I was thinking maybe she could be another incarnation, but her name, she does have a name, and it's Belle.
Did you see how they played into she called it the Dalek sect?
Yeah, yeah.
I'm like,
I
okay.
yeah. I wasn't expecting Daleks this episode at all. Like I expected Cybermen and Weeping Angels, but I never expected Daleks at all. So
Well,
that was pretty
apparently,
cool.
what she was saying, this Bell woman was saying that the end game it was just going to be Suntarans, Cybermen, and Daleks fighting until everyone was dead.
Right.
She's like, "Well, what's the end game?" And the Cybermen's like, supremacy." And she's like, "That sounds lame." And he's like, "Damn, it does sound lame."
Oh
So
yeah. Yeah, for sure. Um and she mentioned she was pregnant too as well.
she said, "Yeah, our Azure baby." That's what she said.
Yeah. I think this could be a theory. I think even my dad said that the baby could be the Doctor
It's a potential, but why would she say Azure?
as our.
She said Azure, like as in blue, baby blue.
Oh,
Yeah.
I missed that. Ooh, interesting. Okay.
I was like, oh, that's probably not Gucci.
Okay.
So,
So maybe Azure must have been a someone else before who she is now, obviously.
hmm,
So it's before she was a Ravager or she became a Ravager.
potential, but I don't have no idea how they would tie. Like I,
Yeah, that's really interesting. And then the cliffhanger with the Weeping Angel getting in and flying the
mm,
TARDIS.
yeah, that's a little strange.
Yeah, a little
So now the Weeping
threatening
Angel
too.
doesn't have to touch you to send you back in time.
Yeah, unless they get a
Just
hold
a
of the TARDIS.
harmless transit Weeping Angel.
I guess so. Yeah.
But I think what it looked like, well, we'll get into this for the prediction for the next episode, but it looked like it had something to do with their origin later on.
Yeah.
We'll discuss that in the next one, but
Okay. Okay.
um yeah,
Yeah.
otherwise very confusing episode.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Not
Which part?
horrible,
Which part? Which part was confusing?
just the whole temporal fracture, like they weren't really, I don't know, it felt like they could have covered it better or kind of made it segue better where it made it look like there was temporal fracture because they got a while, they took a while for them to start explaining like what was actually happening. You just kind
Yeah.
of saw this weird shit going on and you're just like, I don't
Oh,
know.
at the beginning. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so like overall like not a bad episode, but it's one of the weaker ones in my opinion just
Mm,
because there wasn't a lot of explanation going on as to why this was happening. I understood
yeah.
like from the previous episode, like the more you're this unknown race, which they've been playing a lot on lately, and it was cool to bring back Joe. And I think that was the idea, was they wanted to tie in this previous like kind of hard-headed doctor that existed at some point, but we never knew where. Right? Like there
Yeah.
was no mention of Joe Martin's doctor in the Mobius Doctors, Morbius. Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
but there, she was obviously there like before, right? If she was there before
Mm,
Hartnell, then there was something they missed, or if she was a lost incarnation between 2 and 3, like you said, then that's just something that they never covered. So I feel like they did this whole thing to set up a thing with Joe Martin's doctor, but at the same time, I don't know why they made it so, I don't know
yeah.
what the word is. It just seemed a
Confusing.
little, it seemed a little out there, right? I was like
Mm-hmm.
they could have tied it together a little better, but at the same time, like the visuals were amazing. They've done really well with updating their special effects and everything.
Yeah.
And towards the end, you kind of get an idea of what they were doing, which was good. It was just the whole beginning bit was kind of hazy.
It was. Yeah. I found it kind of confusing at first.
It got there in the end. That's what really matters.
It did. Yeah. It just like was like one brick at a time kind of speed. So
Yeah,
it's just like,
exactly.
okay, I think I'm starting to understand this now. And of course, what do you think of the part where Yaz was in her home with her sister and they're playing video games, and then Yaz smashes the game console, and then Yaz's sister is like, "Do you want me to be single forever?"
Yeah,
I laughed at
that was depressing to watch.
that.
Not so much because she'd be single forever, but just the destruction of a game console is always
Yeah.
a sad time. So
Yeah, yeah, that definitely was a little. I'm like, a piece of my soul just rashed out.
yeah, don't do that. Just let the weeping angel take you. Come on.
Yeah, don't risk anything for a
No.
game console.
Yeah, no, your whole life doesn't matter in comparison. Go live in the past. They're not killing you. They're just making you live without video games.
You won't be single during that time.
Mm.
uh, um, what do you think of the lady who was in like the doctor went into like this random place and she met this like older lady.
Ah, yeah, the end of this universe, which kind of ties into that cabin in the woods style cabin.
Yes.
Um, the doctor started getting agitated about things, which leads me to believe they're going to delve more into the
The
timeless
timeless
child.
child.
But we'll see. Like right now, the anger kind of seems unwarranted. Like I understand she wants answers from her past, and she's like, I remember who. Like I've run into this iteration of myself in the past, and I want answers on that. But the exchange between the lady at the end of time, or that's what I'm just gonna note her as, because
Yeah.
she gives a very, very like me vibe.
Who I think she's Tech Tayun. She looks very much like Tech Tayun as soon as I saw her, but older.
Maybe, but Tectayun.
But I could be wrong. I could be
She was
very
very
wrong.
caring to her creation, right? Like she was the founder of the Time Lords essentially,
Yeah.
and the Doctor probably would have been like her prized student or creation, as it were. So
Yeah.
I doubt she'd treat her with such harshness, right? It's not even that it was harsh; it was
Well,
just like denying of truth, which I don't think
yeah.
that'd be something that Tectayun does. It feels like very much more something that me would do.
Right. Okay.
And they've done this whole end of time thing before, and this time it was she said end of this universe, not end of the universe.
Right. So there's a multiverse thing at hand here.
Yeah, so this is going to play more into why the Doctors had a much lengthier lifespan than your average Time Lord,
Right.
right? Because most Time Lords get what, 13 regenerations on average.
Yeah, like typical
Yeah,
Time Lords would.
whereas the Doctors had, let's see, 26 plus 8 plus an additional one now. Yeah, like almost 40 lifetimes, 40 regenerations.
Yeah.
So
I also think maybe what if Peter Capaldi's doctor regenerated into two people, but it just wasn't shown.
well, and this is where it gets really confusing, because you look at just any sort of temporal law, like that would state that there. So if you take one person, we're living in thousands of different realities as it is in many different ways. Like for
Yeah.
example, every second that passes, we're creating a new instance of time, right? So
Hmm.
the me 1 second ago now exists in that time frame, frozen,
Yeah.
right? So there's literally hundreds of thousands of us. So that's going to say that like Peter Capaldi, as he's regenerating, as time goes on, could have regenerated into thousands of different people.
Yeah.
That's definitely a possibility. Like when you mess with
Mhm.
time, or if you're writing a story based on time, things get very finicky because you can take them numerous ways,
You could.
right? Like
I
dar-
agree.
if you continue in the future and you go to the past, could you find your past self? Or if you go to the past, are there even people there anymore? Right? Because everyone's
Right.
moved on from that time period. Like no one knows 100% how that's going to work, but it also, all of it works that way, right? So it's like
Yeah.
there's a time period in the past where we exist. There's also a version of that past where nobody exists because we've moved past that time period.
Yeah.
So it's really hard to say whether or not that could be a truth. It's a possibility, yes, but
Mhm.
whether or not it happens, it seems like too much to do. But I could be
Mm.
wrong. They might have found a way
Yeah.
around it. But
That's a
that's
good
kind of
point.
how, like, when you're just dealing with temporal causality, it gets very muddy.
Hmm.
So I guess
Yeah.
we'll see what they have planned.
Yeah, because we're halfway done the season now, and plus there's the three specials after that. So
There's only 3 episodes left in the season.
yep, because it only goes up to six, and
Mhm.
then because they have the three specials after. So
Mhm.
the first special's on New Year's, the second one's in about the summertime, and then the last one is in the fall
Right. Okay.
next year. So I think it's all just leading up to that. So it's going to be going to be like a bigger thing.
Right.
So at least that's where I'm getting at anyway. So
Interesting. All
mhm.
right, guys. Well, what did you think of this week's episode? Confusing? Out there?
Are you on the same boat as we are?
Star grabbing? Let us know what you think down below, and we will see you guys in our prediction video for the next episode. Steve, what was the title of that?
Village of the Angels.
There you go. Takes place in the past. We'll see how that looks.
Hmm.
So, we'll see you guys next time.
Bye.